25% of the human cost of a full-time employee. And our booking rate is middle top of what their high-performing CSRs do. So most people don't have any idea they're talking to AI. The traditional call center is going to be kaput.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the Small Business Black Holes, the podcast that shines a light on the hidden challenges of scaling a business. Hosted by Alan Pentz, each episode explores the critical shifts entrepreneurs make as they grow beyond $1 million, $5 million, even $30 million, and move from brute force to sustainable professional growth. Stay with us as we uncover what it really takes to escape the black holes of business and scale with intention.
All right, today on the pod, we got Charlie Felker from Mighty St. Louis. He is, you just told me, founder or CEO?
I'm a co-founder and CEO, current CEO of Free to Grow.
Free to Grow. All right, well, welcome, Charlie.
Thanks, Alan. Good to be on with you, man.
Short-term memory isn't very good these days. I'm still trying to get my golf thing in my head, you know.
We said that dirty word, shank, so you're thinking about it. I know.
Well, Charlie, tell us about Free to Grow. What do you do?
Yeah, Alan, we have an e-business. We've got it's been an interesting year. We were founded probably 5.5 years ago, plus or minus a few months. We were a white glove call center for home service companies, owner operators. I'd sold a home service company, exited in 2019, and it was like, man, what could I have used to, maximize earnings and cash flow, all the stuff that matters when you exit. And I'm like, I probably didn't need a full-time person answering my phone. So Free to Grow was born of that concept to help kind of the owner operator, guys like me, gals like me, answer phone. We basically assigned a high-end customer service rep to a business in the trades. We had a kind of a focus with plumbing, HVAC, electrical, garage door, a few other segments, but that was our business. We were a human business, had a fair amount of employees up to about a year ago. So late spring of 24, we had heard of AI voice recording in a Facebook group. And, we laugh now because the technology sounded good then as kind of, basically dial up internet, compared to what it is now. But my partner, Nathan, and I, looked at each other and were like, this human call center business is tough to scale. It's seasonal. We got to look at AI. And we ultimately found our now chief technology officer, Jerry Yee, who's a machine learning guy at Penn, smart guy. Got lucky to find him. He had built a really good product. It's just nobody kind of knew who he was. And so we said, Jerry, we've got all these relationships in home service, and why don't we just marry up? And we bought his business, basically bought his IP, his language model, and then called all of our clients and said, hey, like it or not, but June 1st of 2024, we're shifting it to AI, and half our clients said, we're gone. We're out of here. But it was a great move, Alan, and haven't looked back. And we pivoted at the right time and just kind of made a ruthless decision to get into AI overnight. I'm glad we did.
Charlie, you're a killer, man. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I it was tough. It was very tough. Like, some of our clients, we'd say, look, we're going to do this. We'll give you a couple of weeks. We're going to transition. We have the technology ready. Here's the demo line. Give it a shot. We're going to work with you. We'll give you a couple months off. And they didn't want to hear it. They were like, how fast can I get out of my contract with you guys? And then some really stuck with us and have become kind of evangelical about it as they've seen the technology improve and integrations become more capable. Technology like, return customer functionality, all these things that these home service operators care about, we focused on. And I wouldn't, looking back, if I were to pivot right now, I wouldn't pivot. It's too late, in my opinion. We kind of made a move at the right time, as there's a handful of competitors that we kind of are going like this with, but it's becoming a thing. It was very fringy a year ago, Alan. Everybody's like, oh, AI.
And you think the window to get in the game is already closing?
Yeah, I think you'd be like the 7th or 8th horse at the trough, which is fine. It's doable. We just have moved quickly with the right partners, right referral networks, gain trust, and, it'd be tough. It's doable, but
Has Mark Zuckerberg offered to hire Jerry for $100 million yet?
Jerry's gotten offers. He's very happy. not at that level, but he's a big partner of ours, and he's very invested in the business. And so yeah, that's our story on.
So tell me, so I'm interested in the competition, and obviously the first time I heard about this was it was Klarna, right? Where they said, I think it was, or Klaviyo, one of the two. I can't. Yeah, the company in the Nordics, and said like, hey, we're able to get rid of 75% of our that was more customer service, I guess, not a order taking call center, but it was more like customer service resolution. And that was the first time I heard like massive, and who knows, it's a private company, who knows how true that was. But it sounds like you guys have made the full transition. So this isn't like human assisted. This is just all bots.
It's a great point, because some of our competition, most home service companies, especially on the larger end, start off with this technology for after hours and overflow. Okay, 5 o'clock p.m. The phones roll over. It's a great way to get into AI, right? It's not, your chunkier calls are coming, this
Stuff you
time
were
of day
losing
here.
anyway, basically.
So
Right?
call
Yeah.
volume's not as high. You can kind of stub your toe a little bit, tweak the scripting, tweak the workflows, tweak the integrations part, get it right, work on it. And then, a customer service rep doesn't show up for work or quits, or, the people start to transition away and focus more on AI as they get more comfortable. So we've seen the lion's share of home service companies start that way. Some of our competition has the AI voice, but then they also have the kind of the ability to transfer a call to a human call center, which I think is strategically a mistake. We could have done that because, we had 20 customer service reps, and we're like, look, ultimately you're just getting to the same bottleneck as you would if you just hired a call center. You've got somebody answering the phone doesn't know what the client needs, and you're just kind of like restarting conversations and creating that bottleneck. So we just said, you know what? We're going to try to master the inbound phone call. We're going to start sprinkling on new stuff like outbound and, happy calls and drop text, all these different features that we're going to be building in. But it was just kind of a cold decision. And, I'm glad I'm not seeing the mass, layoffs, all that kind of hysteria now. I do think at some point, Alan, the home service back office is going to be bots talking to bots. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't think anybody knows, but we're certainly seeing in some of our bigger, very sophisticated, big, PE backed dozen plus location businesses are starting to like understand how you staff up with AI being the lead. You can look at like call transfer rates, right? Look at the percent of times that a call with AI is getting transferred, and then they can back into what kind of human resources they're going to need to fully staff their back office.
Yeah. And so this old hack of like going to a town and calling everyone and seeing who doesn't answer or it doesn't call back for 3 days. That was like the old hack for like, hey, that's where you go start a tree company.
Yeah,
That's going to go away in the next couple of
it
years
could
because
really
every call.
democratize. It could democratize kind of that customer service experience. At
Yeah.
some point, it probably will.
And how much of this is like tailored to the company? Is it like you're building, they have like workflows they're building out, or is this pretty much like standardized kind of stuff?
We've learned a lot. We've got a ton of data. We've got like some scripting and workflows that we recommend at certain voices and certain characters we recommend. The bigger entities will take 6 to 8 weeks to really customize and create some pretty wicked workflows based on, how they want to assign text, what text can go here or there. It can get really complicated with a large workforce. But it's a good question. Most of our onboarding, Alan, will probably take a week to 2 weeks. Bigger clients with multi-state, multi-product line, plumber, HVAC, electrical, there's some complication in there where you've got to assign, you've got to tag within a CRM the right way. That can take a month and a half easily.
Yeah. And are you building around multiple different kinds of LLMs, or how does that?
We have a proprietary product. We looking at knowledge base, behavior panel, workflows. We kind of what we call our compiler. We'll compile everything and into kind of what we think is a really good way to structure up a home service call. But yeah, we'll build off existing technology, OpenAI's, retail, and all that kind of stuff to augment the product.
Yeah, because I've been thinking through this for my product too, and it's like, so in some ways, everybody's becoming a wrapper around an LLM.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
A cobbler. Yeah.
right. And so then the goal is you've got to build, like look at something like Cursor or Windsurf for, these massive
Yeah.
companies that have blown up for coding. And like essentially they were just Anthropic or Claude, like I guess Cursor was using Anthropic, right? So they're just Claude with like a couple of workflow changes and like deployment capability, just some like nice buttons and better ways of talking to you. And I guess what you're doing is saying, hey, I got to do that now. But as I'm going, what are you building? Like you called this compiler, like, what is it? Is it like a customer graph? Is it like, I don't want to get too conceptual about it, but it's like there's something you're building in between that eventually like OpenAI just can't come up with a call center product and wipe you out.
So, home service calls, that's our focus. I don't want to answer phones for a dental clinic or, legal, whatever. We're very focused, and the home service calls, go a certain way, right? And basically what the compiler looks like without pulling up and showing some of our back end is essentially, a predetermined call script where we can plug and play certain directions, nodes of how the call will go, right? And that's where it gets really specific and complicated. Okay.
So it's like
Um,
if you thought about a GPT and chat GPT,
yeah.
you basically have a branching
It's
set of GPTs that like,
that's
all right,
exactly
we're
what it is.
starting with this prompt. And then if this happens, then prompt
Yep.
here, go here. Okay. That's an
That's
interesting way to
exactly what it
conceive of
is.
it.
Yeah. And our focus over time, our focus is a strength because, call metrics matter, booking rate matters. A call comes in on a hot day in DC and they've got, a 12-year-old system. And then those kind of prompts should automatically be sent to the appropriate salesperson, right? There are certain things that you have to build in and focus on that we've kind of built our business around that we think is going to create value. You always worry about what's defensible and how do you, what's going to come in. Somebody can show up today and just completely make us obsolete. I think our ability to onboard, build these customized workflows, building metrics around what matters to Bob Plumber is makes us, pretty defensible over time.
Well, if you get that call for the air conditioning breaking and a 95-degree day in DC, does that just go to the top? It's like, we could charge this person whatever you want. You could charge them $1 billion and they will pay it to get the relief, that.
Well, it's gotten really good. Like that call, like, certain manufacturer, that's the nuance of it. Like, okay, we're a Linux provider, right? Or we're a carrier. And we want certain triggers where we think we've got to do unit replacement in 10 years or 12 years. Or they say this thing, being able to route calls, transfer calls, text the on-call technician. Some want to quote, a service range. Okay, Mr. Pentz, it's going to be, you got an old system. We got a technician 20 miles away. It's $235. Okay, got it. They'll approve it, and then we can notify with our AI the technician so it's immediately dispatched. So it's getting very like sophisticated that way.
So are you having to integrate then with all the other software systems that they're using, basically?
Yep, that's key. We focus primarily on service type, which is kind of the big dog in home services, and there's a handful of other CRMs that we've call integration partners. That's key. We see a lot of new entrants in the space competitively that are just kind of fancy answering services that don't have that detailed integration capability. So that's really important. And we focused, 80+% of our clients are probably on service type. And so that's kind of been our focus, but we've over time started to shift away to some other of the, more, other home service CRMs.
Right, right. So that's something I'm facing too. Like what the client said is saying, hey, I actually don't even care about, well, I do, but in some ways, it's not even important who the person is. It's like what I have to integrate with that determines the ICP, right? Or the ideal customer profile, because I can't go build API integrations with every single software. So I got to have to focus on people use QuickBooks, Stripe, and HubSpot or something, like I've got to build those 3 and it's so complicated to maintain all these others, right? Um, so do you see that changing now, like as we move toward like MCP, like this agent kind of based web, and like, is it going to become easier in a way to integrate?
Probably will be. Yeah,
But then you wonder, like, what is Service Titan going to do? Because they start getting commodified
they do.
at a certain point.
There's going to be risk. There's a stickiness, right? There's a sensitivity. Every owner operator wants and hears calls differently, in my opinion. Okay. So they want the ability to reach out and say, okay, free to grow. I'm going to choke you today because you guys missed this and we got to fix this and change this to the workflow. That's a daily occurrence. So you have to build a team we've done for onboarding, ongoing client success, and then marry that up with the technology. I certainly think it'll be probably easier to integrate over time. I'm sure there's going to be new stuff popping up. Lord knows when that's going to be. But as far as like defensibility, I like kind of the track we're on. This very focused, metrics driven. Our churn rate is pretty good. From a percentage. But you're right, Alan. I mean, I don't know what's over the next hill. It always keeps me up, but I'm just going to try to take care of the contractor and what works for them. And it's going to keep us, keep clients loyal, I think.
And okay, so if you were giving advice then I have a lot of people who listen who are like agency, professional services too. And that was my background. But like just in general for the business owner, like obviously if you're the plumber and the trades, that's going to be a little different. But if you're doing something that was like labor based, that isn't in the home, that, obviously call center, right? Or professional services, or these things where you're knowledge based and AI is coming, like what do you recommend? What have you learned that you would give advice to people outside of say call centers?
Yeah, you've written about this. I think you have to get into AI, right? You have to dip your toe in the water. If we're talking if we're talking like the inbound phone call or the customer service experience, the traditional call center is going to be kaput. Okay, whether it's going to be next month or short, it's just going to go away. Our technology is improving probably 30% a month. Okay, that's like bench pressing 30% a month each month after month every month. It's just never stopping. So it's going to get better and better, like tone, emotion, relatability, customer sentiment is something we track. It's all going, like this. It's all getting so much better. So you have to, in my opinion, start to find a partner, start to build workflows, test. I like the idea of starting after hours where it's not as, it's not the prime time sport, and go that route. I encourage, when we do demos, that's our first thing is look, if you're just getting into AI, you're a 2-man electrical business, just let's start with this. And, test it, create a test environment, tweak it, get it how you want it. And people feel like it's their own little AI, bot, is what I would recommend. But there's no doubt in my mind, Alan, this is a product and a feature of AI that's going to be very good.
And like, if you were a marketing agency owner, or you were a accountant, or you were blah, 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 based on your experience, what would you be telling people to do?
I think those professions, my wife's an attorney. I think some of those professions are going to be drastically altered with AI. I don't know who knows exactly that's going to happen, but I think you start to have to use AI as a tool to augment or to shift focus away from, stuff that you're doing manually or through other technology. You have to start, like my brother, is getting his insurance and he's getting into AI and the ability to broker insurance through that. So I just think you have to start looking at AI, how AI can augment your current business. Especially some of those white collar.
Yeah, I think of it as like, I had this metaphor or analogy on a podcast the other day where it's like Google like lit up the internet by indexing it very well, right? And then they took libraries which were dark and like I call them dark, you had to go to them, pick up a book, and then they started scanning old books, right? So they started lighting those up for discovery. And sort of what I feel like AI is doing is something similar to like data in the enterprise, at least if we look in the business context. It's like taking a bunch of stuff that used to be conversations going back and forth. And like, yeah, you monitored calls and you had some ways of looking at it, but like now you can capture all that data and then actually start replacing the people doing the calls, right? And then you're building, so it's basically you're taking all this data exhaust, people will call it, right? And capturing it and lighting it up because now you're feeding it back in. And all of that was sort of lost before. And now we have a system that can learn from it and use it. And that's sort of what every industry has to do because, like just coming in with a standard way to like build your Google ad campaign is just like, I can go get AI to do that in 5 seconds, right? So you got to start figuring out what it is that, you've done it 50,000 times for this specific industry. So you know how to do it better than some like, open AI search, right? Um, that's, that's really cool. So you're in a growing industry. And you are on the forefront. So how do you see this playing out? Is this like a race to win the game kind of thing? And like,
I think it'll be just like CRMs. I think there'll be 3, 5 top tier businesses, right? That get a healthy enough share of the market. And there's going to be a bunch at the end of the trough that are just going to be picking up scraps.
and are you funded, by the way? I didn't,
We are. Yeah, we are.
yeah.
We just closed a decent round and, yeah, I mean, I like where we are. We've got really good partners. We're adding on sales. We're adding on the developer side. I just, it's nice to wake up and have just laser focused on, Bob the plumber. It kind of keeps us focused. And, I just got an email from a contractor say, hey, can you look at doing this? Can you be able to call, maintenance appointments and, we can dig our teeth into things that probably are scalable, right? If he's worried about that, there's probably 100 other HVAC guys like him just digging the same thing.
And are you seeing the pace of like feature deployment going up with AI now? Or is that not hit you guys?
Yes, I think half of it is bullshit. Pardon my, you can beat that up. I think people are doing stuff to look busy. Now, look, the product may be there, okay, but I would equate it to like the early days of inbound AI voice, where yes, technically you're doing AI voice, but not at a master's or PhD level. So our developer, our CTO, Jerry, rather, has done a really good job of slowing us down, I think, in a good way on the sales side. We're like, hey, we want to do this and this and this. And he's like, no, time out. We're going to get inbound voice done at a master's level. And then once we get that done and we think we can book calls at a rate that's similar to the highest quality human CSR, then we will start to do other stuff.
Then you start to other stuff, right? Yeah. Nail that first thing, right?
Nail the first thing. But it doesn't sound good when you're doing a demo and you're like, this is but these guys can do this and this and this. And I've seen the TikTok. I'm like, well, they're selling you a little bit. It's not quite there, but we're starting to have those conversations, Alan, where we feel like the inbound voice, and we have a test line that people can go test it. It's getting really good, and so we're starting to shift away and add some other kind of functionality. So I think that pace is going to probably pick up here.
And so what kind of like, I mean, obviously the cost is different, right? So, what you're delivering this at what factor of your old offering?
Oh God, we're 25% of the human cost of a full-time employee.
And then are you now seeing better results, or is it like parity at this point, or?
Yeah, we're right at parity. We just actually we have a really big HVAC business not far from you. That's probably taking 200 calls a day. So there's really good data. And our booking rate, according to their team, is, middle top of what their high performing CSRs would do.
Yeah. So right now you're getting a 75% discount or whatever, you're paying 25% of the cost and you're getting parity. And soon, as you said, you're putting 30 pounds on the bar every month, a month after month, and then you're going to be better. Right.
The challenge is the homeowner, right? The homeowner, when we first started going, the homeowner call and say, hey, my HVAC's out. And the AI was so glitchy, right? Especially for people that interrupt a lot, or, you get some jerk in Long Island and they start and stop and start and stop. And the AI would refer back to the initial part of the script and it'd hang up. And then the owner operator would hear that and say, you guys suck. We're done with it. We're done with AI. So that number of people that homeowners that recognized AI back, a year ago was 90%. That number's flipped now. So most people don't have any idea they're talking to AI. Okay. If they do, you have to nail the first part of the conversation. Okay. It's got to be really good, because most people that start to pick up on its AI, it's when they're like giving their email. All right. They got some crazy email with hyphens and, pound, whatever. And they can start to they sense something like, this sounds like AI. But at that point, they've already booked their appointment. They're like at the end. So you have to get that first part of the conversation right.
Interesting. And that the AI doesn't laugh when they give an AOL address, so they know it's an AI.
I mean, AI can pick up on humor. We have that. AI can pick up on certain sensitivities. We've seen that. But most people are now we've crossed this threshold where people are starting to have conversations with AI and they're okay with it. Right. And the number of people that are like, God damn it, they call the owner like, you're using AI, this sucks. And that would put pressure on us. That's going down a lot, noticeably. And that was a big pain point for us early on.
Yeah. And what's your take? I mean, obviously there's a huge thing out there about all the jobs are going away, right? So how do you guys think about that?
I think it's going to be a real thing. I took my nephew, who's a sophomore in high school, out to California to meet our developers. Because I told him that when he's out of, or going into college, the traditional job for, some kid coming out of private school in St. Louis for 4-year college, it's not going to be what it was. Right. So thinking about AI, thinking about, what the future economy, I don't think anybody has a great answer, but I do think it's going to be very different. Walking into a traditional white collar job, I don't think it's going to be that much longer anymore. Beyond that, I don't know, who knows. But it's going to be different, Alan. I try to tell people this, and some want to hear it and some don't, or some think, you're being too negative, but I've seen it, I heard it. This can't replace the human touch in the back office for home service business. Well, yeah, it is. So, it's very real, and there's some good and there's some bad. I ran my own home service company, and there's good and bad. People show up late and they take your credit card and go to Quick Trip, and there's plenty of negatives too. So I see both sides of it, but the good is it can really democratize customer service, right? It's for what it costs you. You don't have to have a full big call center and have call center training and, annual retreats. And so there's a whole bunch of positive. You can put money back in the business and pay your technicians more, pay your key leaders more. There's some really good stuff that could come. And I do think there'll be some human component. We're talking about that transfer rate again. I want to talk to somebody about, a credit for an account that you guys screw up. There's going to be some nuance there that just, you have to have that touch, but it's going to be limited.
Yeah. I mean, I default to the Milton Friedman line, like human desires are infinite or something like that. So if we have less, there's less to do there, obviously plumbers become more profitable and they will go spend money on other things. And then those will become roles that other people will do. And they might be unimaginable today or silly. Think about somebody in 1900 talking about a call center even, right? Even that would be ridiculous, right? So, we can't know what that's going to be, but we just have to know that, this is a big wave, right? It's going to be it's going to be a big one, but we've been through big waves before, right? So
And
we will
troubleshooting,
adjust.
for your technician at your house, troubleshooting is going to get easier. You're not, the plumber doesn't need to go back in the van and call the dealer, call the manufacturer. There's going to be so much good, Alan. It's going to be at their fingertips. No doubt. Yeah.
But tell that nephew to go get his plumbing license. So 'cause
Yeah.
that's the AI's not coming to that yet.
I was honest. I'm like, Jack, you leave high school, it's going to be a different world, man. Don't expect to walk into that marketing job in New York or whatever, because it may not be there.
That's right.
Yeah.
The marketing job in New York is the one that's getting killed. It's like,
Yeah.
Jack, you might want to go take some ML classes. That's where I think it's going to be, right? Cool. Well, Charlie, this has been awesome. People want to reach out for the service or talk to you. What's the best way?
Yeah. Freetogrow.com. We got a demo line. I would encourage, we built our demo line to basically be able to sell AI and book AI directly we have sales reps that do custom demos. So you can get a sense of how it can become persuasive, and it'll talk you through, have you tried AI? No, I haven't. Okay, well, let's get you a demo. And before you know it, you've looked. And so you're like, I get it. I see how this could book a HVAC call. So, go to the website, free-to-grow.com, and, we'll be an open book and share with you whatever people need, or, fellow business owners, if you have questions about it, I'd be happy to.
That's awesome. I'm going to go check that out. So
Yeah, it's on our website. I'll email it to you. It's cool.
All right. Free to grow, guys. Go check it out. Charlie, thanks a lot.
You've been listening to the Small Business Black Holes podcast with Alan Pentz. For more insights on mastering the new game, follow @apentz, that's APENTZ on X, and make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, in today's world, you don't follow the rules, you write them.